Now, Emily Thornberry, the Shadow Attorney General, joins me for Labour now this morning. Very good morning to you, Emily Thornberry. Thanks so much for coming in. I wondered if we could talk about whistleblowing first of all, because an NHS consultant has warned Sky News today. He says that we're almost guaranteeing another big scandal if whistleblowers aren't offered more protection. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. And the government has said it's going to look at this, and we're still waiting for the government's response. I do wonder sometimes. You know, they insist on remaining in power. Rishi Sunak wants to be in government for another 9 months, and yet they seem to be ducking so many important decisions. You know, you wonder if they're really governing at all sometimes.
They do say that their review will come out later this year. In the meantime, there's a private member's bill, which is getting its second reading today, if they come to it. That is suggesting setting up an office of the whistleblower, which would have powers to force action and refer criminal offences for investigation. So will you be backing that?
I have looked at this, and I think there are a number of options, to be quite honest with you. I have some concerns about an office of the whistleblower because I think at the moment it's badly defined. So if it's like set up as an all singing, all dancing, anyone who has a complaint, go to the office of the whistleblower, I could see it kind of, you know, just getting larger and larger and covering more and more things. So I think we need to be very clear about, if it was to be established, you know, what its budget would be, what its remit would be, what its staffing would be, what it could do and what it couldn't do. And I think we don't necessarily have that kind of definition sorted out yet.
But you like the idea in theory?
Well, I think it's certainly something which is worth looking at. I personally think that there might be something about using the existing model but beefing it up rather than setting up something completely new.
OK, let me talk to you about WASPs, because yesterday the Parliamentary Ombudsman found that women affected by the changes to the state pension who weren't adequately informed about it deserve an apology and compensation. So would a Labour government pay compensation to the WASP women?
Yeah, I mean, I met some of the WASP women years ago in Wales. I remember talking to them and them telling me what was going on, and they were saying, you know, people don't even believe that we weren't told about this pension going up. So I'm really pleased that after such a long wait of 5 years with the Ombudsman, he's come out with this thoughtful report and actually is vindicating the WASP women. So all of that is important. The next step, though, has to be that the government does what it says it's going to do, which is to respond to the report. We need to hold them to account on that. They need a little bit of time to think about it, I appreciate, but I can't see why they can't come back next week and tell us what their response to this report is. There are a number of different figures going around, but the one thing, you know, some say 10 billion, some say 36 billion, you know, 34 billion. I mean, lots of different figures going around. But one thing is clear is that the WASP women have said that they want to have fast justice, and they're not going to get fast justice without the government making a decision one way or the other.
OK,
and
so
that's what we
want a decision from the government. What would Labour do, though?
So
would
we
Labour
don't
pay this compensation?
So we don't want to get ahead of that.
Why not? Why not give the WASP women some certainty? You could be in government by the end of this year. The polls suggest you will be. So why not tell them what they...
I think because it has to be done in the right way. I think because we have to have... I mean, at the moment, we have to make sure that the government doesn't wriggle out of this. And if we get in front of the government and start saying, well, we would do this and we would do that...
So you're saying the government shouldn't wriggle out. Does that mean then you agree the compensation should be paid?
The government has to make a decision about what's the appropriate way of compensating these women, and then they have to make a decision about how we make sure that Whitehall never makes this mistake again. You know, so they have to respond to both of these challenges. We need to hear what they have to say.
Okay.
Then my friend Liz Kendall will go out, you know, after they've made their announcement, and we will give our response to what it is that the government says. But we are not going to... Listen, let me just explain. The problem is that if we start acting like we're the government, then the government just can hide behind us. Actually, at the moment, they are insisting on staying in power. They're insisting on not having a general election. So they have to make the decisions, and they go first. And they should, because otherwise, I mean, listen, you know, it's not my job. I mean, I'm here as the Shadow Attorney General, right? If I was to say to you, oh, well, we'll spend this amount or that amount, then you can imagine you'll get an email straight before this programme finishes from the Conservative Party Central Office saying, you see, Labour's got unfunded commitments.
Is that what the problem is? That you're worried that Labour wouldn't be able to afford?
No. What I'm worried about is that the Tories, we know what game it is that they play. They will try and get a big fuss going, and they then won't come out with any commitment at all one way or the other, and will say, but Labour have got an unfunded... So let's not get into all of that. And also, we have to be disciplined about it, because they have to give a response to this. They have to give a response to Horizon, where all these post office workers need to have compensation. They've not said anything, specific about that yet, and where the funding will come from and what they will do and which department's going to pay for it. There's contaminated blood comes up behind that in May.
So can I just ask you one simple question? Do you agree that the women should be paid compensation?
I think that it needs to be considered very carefully,
so you're
and
not you're not saying yes.
we need to hold the government to account and get the government to govern. Actually, that's what we should be doing. If the government doesn't want to govern, then call an election and let us have a chance of being the next government, and then we will have to make decisions at that point. But now, they don't wriggle out of this. This is their responsibility. It's not like this has come out of the blue. They know that it's been coming for many years now. They need to they need to step up.
A quick word about Labour's Charging Commission. It's something that I know you wanted to talk about today. This is a panel of experts who have been looking at coming up with the reforms to address the decline in the number of offence being solved. So what have they come up with?
Yeah, so we discovered that since 2015, the number of cases being charged has gone down by 2/3. The amount of time that it's taken for a case to be charged has trebled. So I asked the CPS, they pointed the finger at the police. Yvette Cooper, who's the Shadow Home Secretary, asked the police, they pointed the finger at the CPS. We thought, for goodness sake. So we put them all together, we got some experts together, and we asked for some recommendations as to how we repair this chasm, because we can't have this catastrophic failure of communication and faith in one another. So the first thing the first recommendation that we're going to accept is that there needs to be a joint plan made every year on how they're going to increase. So each area, you'll get the senior prosecutor, the senior police officer sitting down. How are we going to increase the amount of charges? And that plan will in turn be inspected to make sure they're actually doing it. And every year we'll be expecting them to do that. There's a number of other things. We've also said that that if the police are holding someone who they've arrested for domestic violence and they're running out of time and they're going to have to release them because they can only hold them for a certain amount of time, they can charge themselves. And that, instead of getting the CPS to do it, if they've run out of time, the CPS haven't. A number of things. What we need to bring the focus back on victims and make sure that cases are prosecuted properly.
OK, and very quickly, before I let you go, just a quick question about the England flag on the new England kit produced by Nike. There's an England flag that they've done in different colours. I think it's blue, navy blue, light blue and purple. Keir Starmer has said he wants it changed back. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's all very peculiar, I think. The England flag is a symbol of unity. People have been, particularly over the last few years when we've been having such a difficult time, the England flag at the time, the lionesses and so on. You wouldn't expect Nike to go off and have a look at the Welsh flag and decide to change the dragon to a pussycat. I mean, you wouldn't expect the England flag to be changed like this. You wouldn't expect bits of purple in the French tricolour. I mean, why are they doing it? I don't understand.
You got into a little bit of hot water over the England flag in the past. You tweeted a picture. People said that they thought you were sneering, if you remember back. Do you think were we too sensitive about the England flag? What's your thought now?
Well, I think we were talking about a photo I took 10 years ago. And I think I've got past trying to explain to people, what their impression was as opposed to what I was meaning. I tweeted a picture of an England flag. People got offended and I resigned. Do you remember when people used to do that? That was a long time ago, wasn't it? People never take responsibility for anything anymore. But I didn't want to do anything that would undermine the Labour Party, and so I stepped aside.
OK, well, Emily Thornberry, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much for coming in. Thank you.